So today I wanted to talk about how to find difficult words. I have a speech that I need to write for my father, my late father, and I think the most difficult part, apologies for my cat crinkling, she loves to crinkle. I believe the hardest part of writing that eulogy is going to be writing something that comes from my heart and does not offend other people. Because I had a pretty tenuous relationship with my father at the best of times. And so I feel like it would be disingenuous of me to write anything that doesn't make my immediate family upset. I don't think I would like to upset my siblings or my mother, but I do want to take the minute or two that I will take presenting my ideas. I think I'm going to write something that speaks more towards the general experience and how we need to try and connect our mind and our body and with nature. This is mostly me talking to myself. This is all stuff that I don't really need anybody else to listen to. I think I want it to just be up there for if anybody else has a similar experience and happens to stumble upon it. I feel like leaving but a tome in the Library of Alexandria to leave a marking of my experience upon this world, even if it's but a scratch upon the internet where it is washed out by every other experience, but the way that the algorithm interprets which experience is most relatable and which is most marketable. I feel like when we try and market our entire personality and our entire life, that lack of outside validation makes you feel like you're collapsing in on yourself. That you are being shown a different type of person that is outside of who you really are. Or at least who you can be. When we market ourselves and don't receive that outside validation, we lose that locus of control a lot. But when we plant the seed within ourselves and say, I'm going to allow this to flourish, and I'm going to not care that other people may not like what flowers. When you have that internal locus of control and that internal flowering, that's when you can know where you stand. I'm not sure all of that is the most coherent, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm just trying to work things out internally through vocalizing. Is it bad to still crave that outside validation, at least a little bit, even when you do feel like you have that internal locus of control? I don't need a lot of validation, just in general, at least in my goals and where I'm at right now. I'm a little unsure, mostly because we have a lot of geopolitics surrounding that. The moment to moment is a little bit more in question, but where I want to go, I know. Because honestly, I would love to retreat back out into the woods. And I would love to embrace nature that much more. I don't really want to be in a city and surrounding myself with so many people. It feels overwhelming. It feels very overwhelming. And I also really don't like not having at least a little bit of control over where my food comes from. That's why I've been going to co-ops and why I've been trying to shop as local as possible, especially in this holiday season. What little money that I do spend, I try to make sure it goes towards products and services that I do feel are necessary and are of merit, or at least, try and find places that will at least do serviceable business on a reoccurring basis. I feel like that was a little hard back in my hometown. I couldn't quite find places or services that I think were of merit and worth using. The car that I drove across the country and it's now donated. The car that I did that whole trek with, I tried to make sure that I could keep it running for a couple more years before I drove, but that did not end up being a realistic expectation, and especially not with the amount of money that I had at the time. I just simply couldn't afford to make the necessary repairs for it to continue to be roadworthy. So sometimes you have to make sacrifices. I feel like that can certainly affect your social life. It certainly affects my freedom, or at least my perception of freedom, because a lot of America does not have very good public transport, to say the least. And when you don't have that public transport, it makes it really difficult for anybody living in more urban and suburban areas to actually get around. I feel like suburbia tends to suffer the most from poor public transit. Not that there are not many cities without not that there are many cities that have particularly great public transport, at least in the United States. In the United States, it's pretty hit or miss. We see other countries embrace trains a lot more, but instead we need to support our automotive industry. And to continue to build infrastructure that only really supports that. By no means am I an expert on urban transportation or anything that I bring up on these streams. I am not a professional. I am not somebody that you should be taking advice from in a specialized area. I would like that to be psychology one day, but it's not a good idea to make financial decisions off of anything that I'm saying. Let's go with that. None of what I'm saying is professional advice. It's more of a human-to-human experience, sharing and relating. And I feel like that's important. That's what I'm doing this for. It fills that human interaction that we do all need. But, like I said, I want to go out in the woods and limit that human interaction a little bit more. And I feel like this is one method that I take control of that. I say, more time for my own pondering, to coming to my own conclusions, to healing. I think dedicating more brain space and body space to doing more manual labor, or at least more manual labor that I can accomplish. I feel like ensuring the quality of a homestead is a very physical job. I often get a little bit anxious about that goal. Just, will I be able to do it physically? And I think the answer is yes. Every day it's going to be real damn hard. But I want to push that boulder uphill. I would like to live the Sisyphusian task of knowing exactly where my food comes from and choosing what I do and do not waste. I feel like I've wasted a lot in my life. I feel like I've wasted a lot of my life. And I want to stop that mindless wastefulness. Mindless wastefulness? No. Mindless wasting. It is wastefulness, now that I'm realizing. It's important to stay on top of where you're at. To not let yourself backslide. To pay more attention to the kind of person you are in the day-to-day. Continue to be mindful. I know I say it a lot, especially for my Streamlet section, but stay mindful. Mindfulness, being reasonable, approaching every situation with something that resembles reason and composure and openness. Sometimes you do need to compromise. There are some things that you should not compromise on, but there are some things that you have to. Living with other people is always a compromise. But that's also part of what brought us as a species here, is being able to live close to each other and to develop these interpersonal skills. So I think it's important to continue to develop those interpersonal skills while being authentic to yourself, authentic to who you aim to be, authentic to those that are close to you especially. There are some people that you know that they're putting on that mask when you hang out with them. And I think it's important to be able to build up those bonds and continue to improve each other. I think that's what I'm aiming for. I'm not the most social. It's part of why writing that speech that I mentioned earlier is going to be so difficult. Because I don't know how long I want to give it in my mental. I don't know how long I want to give it for delivery. And I don't know what message I want to leave with the people that hear. Because that's the primary thing, is I want the people that listen to what I say to come away with it and feel like they have been able to glean some kind of message of self-improvement, of betterment, the importance of maintenance in the day-to-day, maintaining both the mind and the body, maintaining your connection to nature, to the people that matter to you. Because we never really know when we're gonna go. But we can treat everybody around us with love and care and respect. And if you feel that you're not treating those around you with enough love, care, and respect, you can always change that. It's active effort. It's very active effort. It's also learning how to communicate with other people's communication languages. Ensuring that the message that you're saying and the message that you mean to convey are one and the same. More thoughtfulness in minding how you speak. Very rich for me to say that when I'm just turning on a camera and talking. But mean what you say what you mean. Don't sign up for stuff that you know that you can't handle. I know I've been guilty of that. I've been dealing with some serious burnout in the past. And anything outside of the norm, I just couldn't go for. And I lost a lot of people in my life because I couldn't maintain that. Then I don't really know how to socialize or maintain social bonds appropriately. That is something I have struggles with. And that's okay. I'm really striving to improve that as well. To ensure that my communication style is clearer and a little bit more concise. At least in my day-to-day. When I'm turning the camera on, a lot of what I'm saying is just garbage. Maybe not these sections. I intend for these sections to be something a little bit more mindful. To continue that mindfulness that I'm trying to show outside of my streaming time. My streaming time is my toy time. It's a lot of me being like, oh yeah, if I'm playing video games, I might as well have other people enjoy perhaps. If other people enjoy it, great. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here and I'm preparing for parallel play. Just us doing our own thing, perhaps influencing each other in what's going on in the mental. There have been a lot of people that I've had to walk away from because I've been like, your mental game is not doing very good right now. And I can't be around that. When other people exhibit a lot of emotion like that, it's very easy for me to be aware of it in a way that's not good for my own mental health. I perceive it and it wears on my mind. It hits some of my history. And when it hits some of my history, it's a little triggering. I've experienced some difficult things in my life that have left their scars. Every physical ailment leaves a scar of its own. Mental ailments are no different. Sometimes they are very intertwined. It's a lot easier to witness a physical ailment not healing properly than a mental. Or at least it's easier to point out and say, this is irrefutable. Like, your leg has sepsis. You have a septic leg. You simply will not be able to continue with that as is. We can also have sepsis of the mind. And that really impacts people a lot. A lot more than you think. At least a lot more than people let on. There are some people that wear their trauma so openly. I bring that up because there was a guy at a bar that I attended. I was just trying to get food, and it was up the street. And I sat down next to this guy, and he was talking about how, oh, my brother didn't want to spend time with me on my birthday. I told him to meet me here at X time, and he didn't show up or whatever. And I was like, I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry that you're experiencing this and that you need to talk it out, but you don't have any other way to talk it out other than with a stranger at a bar. I'm sorry, I can't be the kind of change that you need. I am that stranger at the bar, and I would like to leave now.